hands. Everyone wants to stand, I roll in my jack. Fast like the wind, everybody's on the board. Roll to the streets, I'm the man with the plan. Got the world in my hands, every woman wants to stand. I roll in my jag, fast like the wind. Every mission I take, you know I'm gonna win. Ladies on my left, danger on the right, but it's love and respect that I'm bringing to the fight.
I'm the dad with the 9 lives, playing the game, a heart full of fire.
Welcome to the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures. Dive into thrilling escapades, luxurious settings, and captivating tales through ebooks and print editions. Crafted for suspense, adventure, and timeless drama, these stories will awaken your spirit for excitement. Join a global fan community, subscribe now, and click the link to donate to support more stories you love. Note: this series contains mature themes, including romantic and erotic content, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Let's go. The Horizon world awaits, the light within. In the Horizon world, where the sky stretched infinitely in hues of purple and gold, where the mountains shimmered like liquid glass and rivers sang melodies older than time, I saw something in the corner of my eye. Just for a second. A fleeting moment so brief it barely seemed real. And yet, the impression it left on my soul was heavier than the weight of the world. But I pretended I did see it. It had started like any other day in the Horizon world, an endless loop of sunrises and sunsets with no night in between. The light danced and refracted off the shimmering landscape, creating mirages that were as mesmerizing as they were deceptive. In this place, reality itself seemed to shift and ripple, as though the world were made of liquid dreams. I had grown used to the peculiarities of this place, the way the sky whispered my name at odd intervals, the way my shadow sometimes moved independently of me, the way time seemed to stretch and fold upon itself. But this was different. I had been standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out over the crystalline forest below. The trees, their branches dripping with what looked like molten silver, swayed to a rhythm I could not hear. The air smelled of electricity and wildflowers. It was peaceful, serene. And then, in the corner of my eye, it appeared. A shadow? A figure? A ripple in the fabric of existence? I couldn't tell. It was there and then it wasn't, like a breath exhaled into the void. My heart skipped a beat. But I did not turn to look directly at it. Instead, I kept my gaze fixed on the horizon, pretending nothing had happened. Why? Perhaps it was fear. Or perhaps it was instinct. In the Horizon world, some things were better left unacknowledged. The old man who had guided me here, a wanderer with eyes like polished stone, had warned me about the corners of my vision. "Don't look," he had said, his voice trembling like the strings of an ancient harp. "Not directly. Not even for a second. The moment you acknowledge them, they become real." I had laughed it off at the time, thinking him mad. But now, standing there on the precipice with my pulse roaring in my ears, his words echoed in my mind. I could feel its presence lingering just outside my field of vision, heavy and oppressive, like a storm cloud waiting to burst. My fingers tightened around the hilt of the dagger strapped to my belt, a useless gesture, I knew. Whatever it was, steel would not harm it. Nothing physical could. I stayed there for what felt like hours, though time was meaningless in the Horizon world. Eventually, the sensation faded, and I allowed myself to exhale. But the unease remained, coiling in the pit of my stomach like a serpent. I turned away from the cliff and began the trek back to my dwelling, a small, dome-like structure made of luminescent stone. The path wound through the crystalline forest, and as I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The trees seemed to lean closer, their silver branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The air grew colder, and the melody of the rivers turned discordant. I quickened my pace, my boots crunching against the iridescent ground. Shadows flickered at the edges of my vision, but I kept my eyes fixed straight ahead. I would not look. I would not acknowledge them. When I finally reached my dwelling, I sealed the entrance behind me and lit the orb that hung from the ceiling. Its warm, golden light filled the space, banishing the shadows that clung to the corners. I sat down on the edge of my cot and buried my face in my hands. My breaths came in shallow gasps, and my heart refused to slow. What had I seen? What was it that lingered just beyond the veil of perception? And why did it feel so familiar, as though I had seen it before? Sleep did not come easily that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the strange sounds of the horizon world. The whispers of the wind, the distant hum of the rivers, the occasional creak of the stones. And then, just as I was beginning to drift off, I heard it. A voice, soft and melodic, like the chime of a bell. It called my name. J-Cat. I sat bolt upright, my heart pounding. The voice came again, this time from outside the dwelling. J-Cat. Come. I clenched my fists, willing myself to ignore it. But the voice was insistent, weaving its way into my mind like a siren song. Against my better judgment, I rose from the cot and unsealed the entrance. The cold air rushed in, carrying with it the scent of rain and something else, something metallic. I stepped outside, my eyes scanning the forest. The voice was silent now, but I could feel its presence, drawing me forward. The forest was alive with movement. Shadows danced among the trees, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath my feet. I followed the pull of the voice, my mind a haze of curiosity and dread. It led me to a clearing, where the trees formed a perfect circle around a pool of liquid light. The surface of the pool rippled, though there was no wind. And then I saw it. The thing from the corner of my eye. It stood on the other side of the pool, its form shifting and indistinct, like smoke caught in a beam of light. It had no face, yet I could feel its gaze boring into me. My breath caught in my throat as it raised a hand, if it could be called a hand, and pointed at the pool. Look, it said, its voice a chorus of whispers. I shook my head, taking a step back. No. Look, it repeated, more insistently this time. The pool began to glow brighter, its light reflecting in the creature's shifting form. You must see. Against my will, my gaze was drawn to the pool. The liquid light swirled and coalesced, forming images that made my blood run cold. I saw myself, standing on the edge of the cliff, staring out at the horizon. But I was not alone. The creature was there, standing behind me, its hand resting on my shoulder. And then the image shifted, showing me lying in my cot, the creature's shadow looming over me. Another shift, and I saw myself standing in this very clearing, staring into the pool, as the creature stepped closer and closer. I tore my gaze away, my chest heaving. What are you? I demanded, my voice trembling. The creature tilted its head, as though considering the question. I am the part of you that you refuse to see, it said. The truth you bury. The shadow you deny. I am what lingers in the corners of your vision, waiting to be acknowledged. Why? I whispered. Because, it said, stepping closer, you cannot escape what you refuse to face. You cannot run from yourself. Its words struck me like a physical blow. I wanted to run, to scream, to deny its existence. But deep down, I knew it was right. I had been running for so long, pretending not to see, not to feel. But the horizon world had a way of revealing the truths we tried to hide. And now, there was no turning back. Taking a deep breath, I stepped closer to the pool and looked into its depths. This time, I did not look away. The images in the pool shifted again, but this time they did not show moments I had already lived. They showed a future, a path I had not yet walked. I saw a vast city, rising from the crystalline forest like a crown of jagged glass and steel. Its towers pierced the sky, their peaks wreathed in golden mist. The streets below were filled with figures that shimmered and flickered, as though caught between worlds. And at the center of it all, a great spire reached higher than the others, its base wrapped in shadows. I stood in the middle of this city, my hand outstretched toward the spire. The creature was at my side, no longer shifting and indistinct but solid, defined. It was no longer a formless shadow but a being of light and dark, its presence both comforting and unsettling. As I watched, the vision shifted again, showing the spire crumbling into dust, the city consumed by a wave of blinding light. I fell to my knees, the creature standing over me, its hand resting on my shoulder once more. When the vision faded, I was left staring at my own reflection in the pool. But it was not my reflection as I knew it. My eyes glowed. The reflection in the pool was unmistakably mine, yet fundamentally altered. My eyes glowed with an ethereal light, casting faint ripples of gold and violet across the surface of the liquid. The light within them seemed alive, pulsating in time with the erratic beat of my heart. I stumbled back from the pool, my breath coming in shallow gasps. Whatever I had seen, whatever I had become, it was now undeniable. Why? I asked again, my voice trembling. What does this mean? The figure, no longer a mere ripple in the corner of my vision but a fully realized being of shifting shadows and light, took another step toward me. Its presence was both oppressive and magnetic, as though it existed to fill the void I had spent so long ignoring. "You are awakening," it said, its voice layered with a chorus of whispers. "The light you see is not mine, it is yours. You have carried it within you all along, buried beneath layers of doubt, fear, and denial." "Awakening to what?" I demanded, my fists clenched. "Why now? Why here?" The figure tilted its head, as if amused by my resistance. "The horizon world is not a place for hiding. It reveals. It transforms. The moment you stepped into this realm, the veil began to lift. You saw me in the corner of your eye because you were ready, even if you did not realize it. Now, the choice lies before you. Will you embrace what you are, or will you turn away and remain blind?" I looked back at the pool, at the glowing-eyed reflection staring up at me. The vision of the towering city and its eventual destruction lingered in my mind, a warning I couldn't ignore. My reflection's gaze was steady, unwavering, as though daring me to look deeper. To understand. But what was there to understand? This world had already taken everything from me, my sense of reality, my trust in what was seen and unseen. And now, it sought to reshape me into something I couldn't comprehend. "I didn't ask for this," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure's form flickered, its edges blurring before solidifying once more. "No one asks to see their truth," it said. "But it finds them nonetheless." I closed my eyes, willing the vision to vanish, but the glow of my eyes burned even in the darkness behind my eyelids. Memories began to surface, fragments of moments I had long buried. A childhood filled with strange occurrences I couldn't explain. A persistent feeling of being watched, even in the most mundane moments. The way mirrors and still waters always seemed to hold something more than just my reflection. The signs had always been there, but I had ignored them, dismissed them as tricks of the mind. When I opened my eyes again, the figure was closer, its form towering over me. Yet I felt no fear, only a strange, unsettling familiarity. "What do I have to do?" I asked. The figure extended its hand, a swirling vortex of shadow and light. "Take my hand, and step fully into the truth of what you are. Only then will you understand. Only then will you be able to change what lies ahead." I hesitated, my gaze flickering between the figure's outstretched hand and the glowing reflection in the pool. The weight of the decision pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. If I took its hand, there would be no going back. I would have to face whatever truths the horizon world sought to reveal. But if I refused, if I turned away, I knew the shadows would haunt me for the rest of my days, lurking in the corners of my vision, waiting for the moment I could no longer ignore them. "What happens if I don't?" I asked, my voice barely audible. The figure's glow dimmed, as though it were shrinking into itself. "Then the light within you will fade, and you will remain as you are, a half-formed being, caught between what is and what could be. You will continue to run, but the shadows will always follow." A chill ran down my spine at the thought. I had spent so long running, so long pretending not to see. I couldn't keep living that way. Not anymore. With a deep breath, I reached out and took the figure's hand. The moment our fingers touched, a surge of energy coursed through me, a tidal wave of light and darkness that threatened to tear me apart. I fell to my knees, gasping for air as memories, visions, and emotions flooded my mind. I saw myself standing in the towering city, bathed in light, leading a group of shimmering figures toward the great spire. I saw the spire crumbling, the city consumed by an explosion of golden fire. I saw the creature beside me, no longer a shadow but a being of radiant light, its presence both awe-inspiring and humbling. And then, I saw the truth, the creature was me. Not a separate entity, not an otherworldly being, but a manifestation of the parts of myself I had long denied. The light in my eyes, the visions in the pool, the strange occurrences that had followed me my entire life, they were all pieces of the same puzzle. Pieces of me. When the visions finally subsided, I opened my eyes to find the horizon world transformed. The skies were no longer just hues of purple and gold, they shimmered with an infinite spectrum of colors, shifting and blending in ways I couldn't begin to describe. The crystalline forest glowed with an inner light, each tree pulsing with its own rhythm. And at the center of it all, the pool of liquid light shone brighter than ever, its surface now still and serene. The figure stood before me, its form now fully solidified. It no longer flickered or shifted, it was whole. And so was I for the first time, I felt truly present, truly alive. "What now?" I asked, my voice steady. The figure, myself, smiled, a gesture both foreign and familiar. Now, we begin. The words lingered in the air like a spark igniting dry tinder. As they echoed through the horizon world, I felt the ground beneath me shift. A low hum resonated in my chest, vibrating through my bones. The crystalline trees began to sway, their light intensifying as though they were responding to some unseen signal. The pool of liquid light pulsed in rhythm with a hum, its surface breaking into delicate ripples that seemed to form symbols I couldn't yet decipher. "What is happening?" I asked, staring at the pool, my voice trembling with both awe and unease. The figure, my other self, did not answer immediately. Instead, it turned and began walking toward the edge of the crystalline forest, its movements fluid and deliberate. "Come," it said, beckoning me to follow. "The horizon world is vast, and what you see now is but a fraction of its truth. If you are to understand, you must see it all." I hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward, my feet sinking slightly into the shimmering ground. The sensation was strange, like walking on a surface that was both solid and liquid. The figure moved with purpose, and I hurried to keep up, my eyes darting to the shifting landscape around us. The crystalline trees seemed to part as we approached, their branches bending away as though bowing in reverence. As we walked, the hum grew louder, more insistent. It was no longer just a sound but a presence, an energy that thrummed in the air and beneath my skin. The horizon world began to change. The vibrant colors of the sky deepened, the purples and golds giving way to streaks of crimson and sapphire. The ground beneath us began to glow, intricate patterns of light spreading out like veins in marble. I realized with a start that the patterns were moving, shifting in response to our footsteps. "What is this place?" I asked, my voice barely audible over the hum. "It is the reflection of all that is and all that could be," the figure replied. "The horizon world exists at the boundary of reality and possibility. It is here that truths are revealed and choices are made. And it is here that your journey truly begins." "But what am I supposed to do?" I asked, frustration creeping into my voice. "You keep talking about truth and choice, but I don't understand what any of this means." "What is this place?" I asked, my voice barely audible over the hum. The air around me shimmered as if it were alive, breathing, rippling in and out of focus. Strange shapes danced in my peripheral vision, stars and shadows, forms that seemed to promise understanding but slipped away whenever I tried to grasp them. "It is the reflection of all that is and all that could be," the figure replied, their voice as calm and steady as the hum that filled the vast expanse. They were cloaked in something I could only describe as living light, an undulating, iridescent fabric that seemed to merge with the horizon behind them. The figure's face was hidden, but their presence was commanding, almost overwhelming. "The horizon world exists at the boundary of reality and possibility. It is here that truths are revealed and choices are made. And it is here that your journey truly begins." "But what am I supposed to do?" I asked, frustration creeping into my voice. "You keep talking about truth and choice, but I don't understand what any of this means." The figure tilted its head slightly, as if considering my question. Behind it, the horizon posed, shifting colors like a living aurora. I thought for a moment that I could see faces in the light, or perhaps scenes, lives playing out like a million overlapping dreams. "You are here because you stand at the nexus of a great decision," the figure said finally. "The path you choose will shape more than your own destiny. It will ripple outward, touching countless lives, reshaping the fabric of existence itself." I blinked, my frustration deepening. "That's vague, and not helpful," I said. "What decision? What path? Why me?" The figure remained silent for a moment, then gestured with a single hand, or what I thought was a hand. It was difficult to tell, the light bending and refracting in ways that defied logic. The air in front of me parted like a curtain, revealing something. It was a doorway, but not like any doorway I had ever seen. It wasn't framed in wood or metal, but in lines of pure energy, shifting and flickering like static on an old television screen. Beyond the doorway was a space that seemed both infinite and confined, a corridor of stars, spiraling galaxies, and swirling nebulae. "You must step through," the figure said. "The choice lies on the other side." I hesitated. "What's on the other side?" "That depends," the figure replied. "On you." My heart raced. Every instinct screamed at me to stay where I was. This place, strange and incomprehensible as it was, felt safer than the unknown that lay beyond that doorway. But something deep within me, an almost primal urge, urged me forward. I took a step toward the doorway, then another, the hum around me growing louder, vibrating through my bones. Wait, I said, turning back to the figure. What happens if I don't go through? The figure's form flickered, its edges blurring. The choice is yours. But remember this, to remain still is to let the current carry you. To choose is to shape the current. The words hung in the air as I stood on the threshold, staring into the corridor of stars. With a deep breath, I stepped through. The instant I crossed the threshold, the world tilted. I felt like I was falling, though there was no ground beneath me, no up or down. Colors and shapes streaked past, fragments of memories, some mine, some not. I saw a young girl laughing as she chased a kite through a meadow. I saw a man standing on a cliff, his face lined with grief as he gazed at the sea. I saw a city consumed by flames, its towers crumbling into ash. Each image burned itself into my mind, leaving me reeling. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the fall stopped. I landed, softly, impossibly, on a surface that wasn't a surface at all. It felt like standing on the surface of a lake, the water solid beneath my feet but rippling outward with every step. Above me, the sky was an endless expanse of shifting constellations, and around me, the horizon stretched infinitely in every direction. You have arrived, the figure said. Their voice was different now, closer, more human. I turned to see them standing beside me, their form no longer cloaked in light. They looked ordinary, unremarkable, a face I might pass in a crowd without a second glance. What is this place now? I asked, my voice shaky. This is the heart of the horizon world, the figure said. The place where all choices converge. I looked around, confused. I don't understand. What choices? The figure gestured again, and this time, the air around us filled with images, countless paths branching in every direction. Each path was a thread of light, stretching outward into the void, and within each thread, I saw glimpses of possibilities. In one thread, I stood alone in a darkened room, my face etched with determination. In another, I was surrounded by people, laughter and joy filling the air. In yet another, I stood on a battlefield, the roar of conflict all around me. These are your choices, the figure said. Each thread is a possibility, a path your life could take. But you cannot walk them all. You must choose. I stared at the threads, overwhelmed. How am I supposed to choose? I don't know what any of this means. I don't even know why I'm here. The figure stepped closer, their expression unreadable. You are here because you stand at a crossroads, one that few ever encounter. The choice you make here will define not only your life, but the lives of those you touch. You must decide what matters most: truth, love, power, freedom, sacrifice. Each path leads to a different future. My head spun as I tried to process their words. The threads stretched out before me, each one shimmering with possibility. I felt a pull toward several of them, threads that seemed to hum with familiarity, as if they were calling my name. But how could I possibly choose? How could I know which path was the right one? The figure watched me silently, their gaze steady. Finally, they spoke again. The answer lies within you. The choice is not about what you want, but about who you are. Look inside yourself, and you will find the truth. I closed my eyes, the hum of the threads surrounding me. Deep within, I felt something stir, a faint, flickering light, like a candle in the darkness. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was there. And as I focused on it, the chaos around me began to fade. The threads grew quieter, their hum softening to a whisper. When I opened my eyes again, the world around me had transformed. The shimmering threads in infinite horizon were gone, replaced by something startlingly ordinary. I was standing in the middle of a dense forest. Towering trees stretched high above me, their branches tangled together to form a canopy that filtered the sunlight into golden shafts. The hum of the horizon world had been replaced by birdsong, the rustling of leaves in a soft breeze, and the distant trickle of running water. I looked down at my hands, half expecting them to be glowing or different somehow, but they looked the same as always. Normal. Human. For a moment, I wondered if I'd imagined the entire experience, if the horizon world and the figure had been nothing more than a strange dream. But as I turned in a slow circle, taking in my surroundings, I noticed something. The air here wasn't normal. It shimmered faintly, like heat rising off pavement on a summer's day, and it carried a faint electric charge that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. There was a presence in the forest, something vast and watchful, though I couldn't see it. Where am I now? I asked aloud, my voice breaking the stillness. The forest didn't answer, but a voice inside my head did. You are on the path you chose. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a tree root. The voice was soft and calm, but it reverberated through my mind as if it had been spoken directly into my soul. "Who's there?" I demanded, spinning around. "I am a guide, nothing more," the voice replied. "You may call me Callan. I am here to help you navigate the path you have chosen." I clenched my fists, feeling a flicker of irritation. "If you're here to help, maybe you could start by telling me where I am and what I'm supposed to do." Callan's voice carried a note of gentle amusement. "You are where you are meant to be. This place is called the Veil of Origins. It is where all journeys begin, and where the first truth must be faced. As for what you must do, you will know soon enough." I opened my mouth to argue, but before I could say anything, the forest around me seemed to shift. The air grew heavier, the sunlight dimmer. Shadows stretched longer, and the distant trickle of water grew louder, as though beckoning me toward it. "This doesn't feel like a beginning," I muttered. "It feels like a trap." "Beginnings and traps often feel the same," Callan said. "The difference lies in how you face them." I frowned, but I didn't have time to dwell on the cryptic remark. The forest was changing rapidly now, the trees twisting into strange, gnarled shapes. Their bark was etched with symbols, runes and glyphs I couldn't read but that seemed familiar in a way I couldn't explain. The path beneath my feet grew narrower, forcing me to walk carefully to avoid slipping on moss-covered stones. At last, I came to a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a pool of water, perfectly still and mirror-like. The surface reflected the sky above, but when I stepped closer, I realized it wasn't just reflecting the sky, it was showing something else entirely. I knelt by the edge of the pool, staring into its depths. At first, I saw nothing but my own reflection. Then the image shifted. The surface rippled, and scenes began to form. I saw myself standing in a crowded room, surrounded by people I didn't recognize. They were looking to me for guidance, their faces filled with hope and expectation. The image shifted again, and I was alone on a mountaintop, staring out over a vast, desolate landscape. My face was older, lined with weariness, but my eyes burned with determination. Then the pool showed a third scene, one of fire and chaos. I was running through a burning city, searching for someone, my voice hoarse from shouting their name. "What is this?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Are these possibilities?" "They are echoes," Callan replied. "Glimpses of the paths that lie ahead. Each choice you make will shape the world around you, and each truth you face will reveal another piece of who you are meant to become." I stared at the images, my heart pounding. The weight of it all, the responsibility, the uncertainty, pressed down on me like a physical force. "I don't know if I can do this," I whispered. "What if I make the wrong choice?" "There are no wrong choices," Callan said. "Only paths. Each one will bring its own challenges, its own rewards. What matters is not which path you choose, but how you walk it." The pool shimmered again, and this time, it showed something different. It showed me as I was now, standing in the forest, staring into the water, fear and doubt written across my face. And then the image changed again, showing something behind me. I turned quickly, my breath catching. Standing at the edge of the clearing was a figure. Not the cloaked figure from the horizon world, but something else entirely. They were taller than any human, their skin pale and luminous, their eyes glowing with an inner light. They wore armor that seemed to be made of woven starlight, and in their hand was a blade unlike anything I'd ever seen, a weapon forged from pure energy, its edge humming with power. "Who are you?" I asked, taking a cautious step back. The figure didn't answer. Instead, they raised the blade, pointing it directly at me. Their expression was unreadable, but there was something in their eyes, a challenge, a question. Without warning, they lunged. I barely had time to react. I stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding the strike. The blade sliced through the air where I had been standing, leaving a trail of light in its wake. My heart raced as I scrambled to my feet, my mind racing. What was happening? Why were they attacking me? "This is your first trial," Callan said, their voice calm despite the chaos. "Face them. Prove your strength, and the first truth will be revealed."
And that's a wrap on another thrilling episode. From heart-pounding action to emotional connections, Jay Bahari will never fails to excite. Don't miss the next adventure. Subscribe now for more suspense, romance, fantasy, and mystery. Want to dive deeper? Grab an ebook on Etsy or a paperback on Amazon to keep the excitement going. You can also catch the podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or Amazon Music. If you're hooked on the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat adventures, show your support today. Click the link to donate, and help us continue creating the stories you love. Until next time, stay adventurous. There's no mystery is too big to solve.
He's Jack, fast like the wind. Every mission he take, you know he's gonna win. Ladies on his left, danger on the right. But it's love and respect that he's bringing to the fight.
Disclaimer and notes. The Adventures of the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures is a work of fiction. The characters, events, and settings depicted in this series are the products of the author's imagination and are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. This series contains mature themes, including but not limited to romantic and erotic content, that may not be suitable for all audiences. Reader discretion is advised. The depictions of relationships, encounters, and situations are intended for entertainment purposes only and do not reflect real-life practices or endorse any specific behaviors. The portrayal of characters, including their actions and interactions, is intended to be a dramatic and fictional narrative. The series is not intended to promote or condone any form of violence, exploitation, or abuse. The characters of the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures, while depicted as a hero in fictional scenarios, is a creation meant to entertain and should not be considered a role model for real-life behavior. Readers are reminded that this is a work of fiction and should enjoy it as such. Any interpretations or applications of the content within real-world contexts are the responsibility of the reader. The author and publishers disclaim any liability for actions taken by readers based on fictional portrayals and scenarios in the series. Notes: J. Bahari, the imaginative mind behind the Souls of the Horizon and the Adventures of J-Cat, has a unique talent for weaving tales of mystery, romance, fantasy and adventure. With a flair for creating captivating characters and intricate plots. J. Bahari's storytelling is enriched by a deep understanding of human nature and a keen eye for detail, crafting narratives that resonate with both excitement and emotional depth. Each episode of The Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat's Adventures is a testament to Bahari's ability to blend intrigue with passion, creating a world where the extraordinary becomes reality. In this creative journey, J. Bahari has harnessed the power of artificial intelligence to enhance the storytelling process. With the help of AI input, Bahari has been able to explore new dimensions of creativity, pushing the boundaries of conventional storytelling to deliver an experience that is both innovative and compelling. Together, J. Bahari and AI have crafted a series that not only entertains but also captivates the imagination, inviting readers into a world where seduction and suspense intertwine in the most alluring ways. This collaboration stands as a testament to the endless possibilities that arise when human creativity meets cutting-edge technology, forging a path to stories that are as mesmerizing as they are unforgettable.
Come